Welcome back, everyone. Today we're working on alternate subtraction strategies. If you haven't checked out the addition strategies that we've worked on in the last video, go check it out because that's going to blow your mind. I love these new subtraction strategies. Some of them we are subtracting without even subtracting. We're subtracting with addition. You don't get it? I don't get it. How about we start? Let's go. There's going to be 4 strategies that we're going to be learning today, and they are expanded form, open number line, compensation, and by parts. All right, let's start with expanded form. The example that we're going to be using today will be 321 take away 145. With expanded form, we're going to break these numbers down into their place values. So let's start here. Instead of lining them up how we usually do it, like this, let's change it up, because for some of us, we have a very difficult time trying to regroup and understanding what regrouping is, because we would borrow from the 10s, that would turn into a 1, 11, that would be a 6, and then what happens here? This turns into a 1, but we forget that we're borrowing from the hundreds. So now we take one of those hundreds, we cross them out, that turns into 2, and we add 100 here. And then we go 11 minus 4, and after that, we forget about our math. So let's do it a different way. Can we break it down by place value? We've got 3 hundreds there. Then we've got 20. And then we've got 1. Over here, we've got 100, 40, and then 5. So now, what we can do is take a look here. We've got 1 take away 5, and we can't. So what we want to do is take 10 away from over here. We're going to take 10 away from there. So now we know that there's 10, and we add 10 there. That is now 11. Turn that into a 6. What is 10 take away 40? That's difficult. But you know what's not difficult? Borrowing from the 100s. So why don't we borrow from that 100 right there? Let's take that away. That is now 200, and we added a whole 100 right there. Now, we would just take 110, and you take away 40, and what would that be? We'd get 70, and now 200 minus 100 would be 100 right there. Now, we've stayed within our place values, 10s and 1s, and for here, of course, is the 100s. Then we add the values up down here, and we would get our answer, 176. And that is how you do expanded form subtraction. Open number line is the next strategy. And you guessed it, let's start off with an open number line. Just like this. We want our lowest value to be one end of the number line. So this will be 145, and this number will be at the highest end of the number line, 321. And what we want to do here is make jumps with addition to get to some feasible, easy to add numbers. So let's start off with the ones value. What's the easiest way to start adding that so we can get to the nearest 10? Let's add 5 to this so we can get to the nearest 10. And if we added 5, what number do we get to? We get to 150. Now, let's take a look at the 10s. How many 10s can we add to get to the nearest 100? You guessed it. You add 50. When we add 50, we'll get to 200. Now, what do we need to add to get to the nearest 100 where this number is placed? Let's add 100 here because that will give us 300. And now we have this little jump right here to add 21. If we take all those values together, I'm going to start off with the 100, the 50, and then this is the next highest value, and then that. So let's add those. 100, 50, 21, plus 5 is equal to, add it up, 6, 7, 176. Check it out. We just did subtraction without subtraction. We just did it with all addition. We kept making our jumps, and then we added it together. How fun was that? All right, on to the next strategy. With this strategy, what we have to remember is that what we do on one side, we've got to do to the other side. Why is that? Is because when you're doing subtraction, you're always going to remain with the same difference if we take one side and do the same thing to the other side. What do I mean by that? Here's our number line. Here's the number 4, and then of course you'll have 5, 6, and then here's the number 7, and in between them, the difference is 3. Now, if I added the number 1 to this, and I added number 1 to this, because what we do on one side, we do to the other side, we would end up with the numbers right here. We would end up with 5, and we would end up over here, 8. What would the difference be between these two? You're right, they're the same thing, 3. Whatever you do to the one side, you do to the other side and compensate for it. Okay, let's put this in practical math applications. If we had 321 subtracted by 145, what could we add to one of these sides or take away that would make either one of these sides easier to subtract? How about we do this? Let's add to get to the nearest 100 for that side. We would have to add 55, and if we do it on this side, we would also have to do it on this side. So our new equation would be 200 take away 376. Now that would be a lot easier to subtract, and that answer would be 176. Does that make sense? Now, let's subtract this. Let's get this one to the nearest 100. So that would look like subtracting 21, and over here you subtract 21, and we're left with a new equation of 300 minus 124. Though you would have to regroup this one, maybe it's not as easy as the other one, but the answer is still 176. I like the adding one better. I don't know about you, but it works. That is compensation. By parts is the last strategy, and here we go. We're going to break down this 145 by their place value so it's easier to subtract by, and we're not going to forget the different parts. So let's go 321 minus its first place value, which is 100, and that equals 221. Now let's go 221. Now we go to the next place value, subtracted by 40, which is going to equal 181. And last but not least, 181, let's fix my 8. 181 subtracted by 5 is equal to 176. All right, if you don't like writing it this way, which is horizontal, we can put it stacked, just like this. You would then subtract it and get 221. 221 subtracted by 40, which would equal 181, and you subtract it by 5, and you end up with 176. And that is by the parts. So we covered 4 different strategies: expanded form, open number line, compensation, and by the farts. Did I just say farts? All right, let's review. Expanded form would take a look like this. 300 plus 20 plus 1 subtracted by 100 plus 40 plus 5. And here you would have all your place values. You'd be able to borrow. So you would know that's 176. And you would borrow from here, that's 200. That'd be 110. And 200 minus 100 is 100. And you add that all up, and you get 176. Now, with open number line, let's do this. Have the shortest part be 145, the largest part 321, and we're going to keep adding to get to the next place value. So let's add 5 to get to 150. Let's add 50 to get to 200, and then we're going to add 100 to get to 300, and we'll add a small 21 to get to 321. And now we're going to add all this together, and that should give us 176. Compensation is going to have us adding together whatever makes it easier, adding whatever makes it easier to get to a whole number. I would add 55, I would add 55, and what that gives us is 376, take away 200, which is equal to 176. And last but certainly not least, let's not make them feel left out, it is 321, and take away, what we're going to do is break these down by their place values as well, minus 100, which is equal to 221. 221 take away 40 is equal to 181. And then 181 subtracted by 5 equals 176. And there you have it, folks. Expanded form, open number line, compensation, and by the parts. Now, up here, I'm going to change this up for you to try out some examples for yourself. Let me know what you find as the best and most fun strategy. Personally, I love the number line strategy. All right, try these out. Try out 562 subtracted by 174. And when you're finished with that, try this one. 1,000 take away 283. All right. Again, let me know, what's your favorite strategy? Have fun. Try them out. See you soon.